Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. My name is Maria, and I'll be your host for today's episode. If this is your first time around in this podcast, we explore some of the greatest mysteries in human history, analyzing different theories and perspectives to better understand them. I am joined today by my amazing guests who will share their ideas and interpretations about today's topic. Angel Sanchez, Elena de Jesus, and Jensi Jimenez, thank you all for being here. But well, today's topic, it's about Stonehenge, one of the most famous and mysterious monuments in the world. We will examine its origins, its possible purpose, and the different theories that try to explain how and why it was built thousands of years ago. But first, let's introduce it. Stonehenge is a prehistoric monument located in England. It was built before Christ, so it's old. It consists of massive stones arranged in circular formation, some of which weighed up to 6 tons. The stones were carefully placed on the Salisbury Plain by Neolithic people, but the methods they used remain unknown. Over the years, many theories have emerged to explain its purpose. Some researchers believe it was a burial ground, especially after cremated human remains were found near the site. Others suggest it might have been used for religious rituals, astronomical observations, and even healing practices. In my opinion, if you ask me, the Stonehenge must have been a ceremonial and a spiritual center. Why? Because the level of organization and effort required to build such a structure indicate that it must have had a very important meaning for the people of that time. Additionally, its alignment with the sun suggests that it could have been used to track significant solar events, such as solstices. I believe this because the construction of Stonehenge required advanced planning and cooperation, which means it must have played a central role in their society. Furthermore, the discovery of human remains supports the idea that it might have been connected to rituals related to death or the afterlife. But now, I would like to know other people's perspective. So let's invite our first speaker, Jensi, to share their theory about this fascinating mystery.
In my opinion, Stonehenge was primarily an astronomical observatory and calendar. The ancient people who built it used it to track the movements of the sun and the moon in order to organize the agricultural activities throughout the year. The precise alignment of the stones with the sunrise during the summer solstice and the sunset during the winter solstice strongly suggests that it was designed intentionally as an astronomical tool. Ancient communities depended on knowing the seasons to plant and harvest their crops, so having a reliable system to track time was essential for their survival. Furthermore, archaeological studies have shown that the stones were placed with extraordinary mathematical precision, which indicates that the builders had advanced knowledge of astronomy. This level of planning goes beyond what would be necessary for a simple ceremonial site. It points to a practical and scientific purpose.
Hello everyone, my name is Angel Sanchez, and in my opinion, Stonehenge was a major trading hub where different tribes and communities came together to exchange goods, resources, and knowledge. My reasons are the archaeological findings around Stonehenge have uncovered objects and materials that originated very distant regions of Britain and even Europe. This strongly suggests that people from many different places gathered there regularly, which is exactly what happens in a trading center. Additionally, Stonehenge is located in a central and accessible area, making it an ideal meeting point for different groups. Trading sites in ancient times were not just places for exchanging goods; they were also places where people share ideas, form alliances, and establish social connections between communities. Furthermore, the large open space surrounding Stonehenge could have easily accommodated big gatherings of people with animals, food, tools, and other goods. The monument itself may have served as a landmark and a symbol of neutral ground where different tribes could meet peacefully without conflict. So, Stonehenge may have been much more than a mysterious monument. It could have been the beating heart of an ancient trading communication. Now let's hear from our next speaker who will give us another interesting perspective.
Hey, my name is Elena Victoria. In my opinion, Stonehenge was built as a center for healing and medicine. Ancient people traveled long distances to this site seeking psychical and spiritual cures, making it one of the earliest known places of pilgrimage dedicated to health and recovery. Archaeological evidence supports this theory strongly. Studies conducted by researchers at the University of Sheffield found an unusually high number of skeletal remains near Stonehenge, showing signs of serious illness or injury. Many of these individuals came from regions far away from Salisbury Plain, which suggests that they made long journeys specifically to search this place. Additionally, the blue stones, the smaller stones at the center, were transported over 200 miles from Wales. Some researchers argue this extraordinary effort was made because those specific stones were believed to make magical or medicinal properties, similar to how sacred healing sites worked in other ancient cultures. This theory is convincing because It explains both of the presence of human remains and the enormous effort invested in the construction. People do not travel hundreds of miles or move 4-ton stones unless they believe the destination holds something truly powerful. In this case, the hope of healing. So, now that we heard about Stonehenge, a healing center, let's move on to our conclusion.
Well, that was a lot of information. But to conclude today, we explore the mystery of Stonehenge, a prehistoric structure that continues to puzzle historians and archaeologists. We discuss its origins, its possible purposes, and the different theories that attempt to explain how and why it was built. I would like to sincerely thank all our guests for their participation and for sharing their thoughts and well supported ideas. But yeah, as a reminder, mysteries like this help us to understand how complex and fascinating human history is. So we encourage you to keep questioning and exploring these topics. Thank you very much for listening to our podcast, and goodbye, and see you in the next episode.